Okay, hi everyone. Very good afternoon to you all. I'm Sejal Shibe, Manager Data and Delivery from Cyberfrat, and I welcome you all to the Wednesday Wisdom webinar that is on the topic Deep Dive in RBI's Digital Security Compliance with Bluebricks. So Wednesday Wisdom is a webinar series that Cyberfrat is doing with our association partner OneFed. With Wednesday Wisdom, we would like to demonstrate the best of breed next gen technologies which enable your business to transform digitally, acquire compliance, and more importantly, mitigate the upcoming cybersecurity risks. So, with that, for today's webinar, we have with us the solution expert partner Bluebricks. So, Bluebricks Group has been innovating cybersecurity since 2014, an ISO 27001 certified global company with a core focus on niche cybersecurity, payments, and automation products that address regulatory compliance, cost reduction, and frictionless trusted experience for cloud and on-premise apps. And joining us as our guest speaker is Mr. Vikram Sareen, founder chief architect of Bluebricks. In over 22 years of experience, Vikram has awarded multi-cloud cybersecurity-centric patents and worked with 140 enterprises, including BFSI and government bodies. His first security product under US company ELOC was used by President Bill Clinton, approved the Digital Act in 2000, and he has ideated and commercialized 12 products in 3 companies since then. So thank you, Vikram, for being here. And one more announcement that we will be doing a Kahoot quiz, which will be based on the presentation. And three top winners from the quiz will get Amazon Kindles. And also there is a Wheel of Fortune based on the feedback form that will be rolled out later in the session. And the winner gets Amazon goodies for that as well. So stay tuned till the end. And before we start, let me just invite Mr. Dushyant Parekh from OneFed to speak a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Sejal. Thanks for for the quick introduction. And I want to welcome Vikram and Upasana from Bluebricks. Just to introduce all of you with OneFed very quickly, and then handing it over to Vikram. So as those who have joined on the earlier episodes of Wednesday Wisdom, you already know that OneFed is a B2B global cybersecurity marketplace. And with that, we are trying to create an ecosystem of buyers, sellers, consultants, and other cybersecurity practitioners to bring them on one platform, and basically to bridge the gap between the innovative solutions and the OEMs and the opportunities available in the market. Okay, so we bring on table those innovative, agile, and the disruptive cybersecurity OEMs and the solutions on the table. Okay, and help our customers find and evaluate the right solutions for them to address specific problem statements. Okay, we have been working with Vikram and Upasana from Bluebricks on number of opportunities in India. Particularly with the KYC, the AML, and fraud risk management areas, and we are making very good progress. And I'm very happy, to have Vikram today with us to share his insights on these topics. So not taking much of your time, would like to hand it over to Vikram. Thank you, Vikram. Thanks a lot. And last, before I give up, thanks a lot to Fred team for organizing this Wednesday Wisdom series of webinars. Thank you, Cyberfred team. Thank you. Over to you, Vikram.
Yeah, thank you, Dushyant. Thank you for the kind words, and thanks for all of you to give us the next I think almost 1 hour. And what I'm going to do is that quickly jump into the what we have realized, what the requirement is and what the need is. And then, definitely look forward to, getting into some question answers and taking it ahead. So, Dushyant and Sana, just confirm if you guys can see my screen. Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, lovely. So, today, again, Bluebricks is 8 years plus now, ISO certified. And today, what we're going to do is it's a session where we want to talk about what RBI is asking all the regulated entities to do, and what are the best technologies out there that can help you to, kind of follow those guidelines and essentially become more cyber secure or have a better security posture. So as a company, I just want to cover a few things like what we do. So I'm not going to jump into this part, but our company has been very much focused on payment tokenization, customer onboarding, and anything and everything that you see on this slide is essentially done by us. So we have a couple of good, clients over here, including HDFC and a few others who use our product, especially a lot in ASEAN. And overall, we do cater for quite a large number of banking and financial customers. And we are present in 4 countries as a whole, but we do work with a lot of partners like OneFeed, in India to take it ahead. So now let's kind of jump into, I think why we all are here together. So I think 2021, almost last year, they RBI said that, okay, let's just bring a good guideline. And this essentially is being regulated under a couple of the digital acts, which are mentioned over here. And the whole idea is to bring better, well-informed, good practice in terms of digital payment. And I think India has done fantastic when you talk about UPI, as a whole, and the number of transactions that are getting clocked per second. I think it's a fantastic initiative which we India have done, and whom it is applicable. I think again everything is available, but I'm just trying to recap. So it's essentially everybody who's a commercial bank, who are issuing cards, who are essentially payment banks, excluding the regional rural banks. So said that, the whole aspect is to bring a strong, robust governance and implement minimum security standards that any regulated entity should have so that they can be part of the digital payment platform. So what is the objective of putting this guideline is that firstly, it should have the minimum standard, but more importantly, every customer or every user like you and me should be able to have a good, trusted experience of digital payment. It should be smooth, it should be secure, it should be safe. And that's what the prime objective is over here. So I'm going to get to this particular part later, but I think, so they have specified in 6 sections, plus obviously internet banking, mobile banking, and cards later, that what should be the general controls that we should put in. I'm not going to talk about this in next, I think 20 slides, because I would like to take it to a different level, where what we will do is that we will look at why we should do it, what are the technologies out there that should be able to address it, what should make it more efficient way of doing it, what should be more easier way of helping the compliance, to be achieved, or guidelines to be achieved. So let's deep dive into few of the things that are there, out there in the market, which will help you. And then we will come back into the, the 6 or 7 items that needs to be controlled. So the first most elementary point where cyber criminals or hackers, they come in and attack is at the time of customer onboarding. And this is the point where we have to bring in the best security we can. And that is where customer onboarding, either through a video or through, automated process, or through walk-in, or through an agent, becomes very, very critical. So in this flow, if you see, what actually happens is that you as a company, even though, as an enterprise or as a bank, RE, we need to go through a certain process which can be highly automated in terms of finding whether the person is real, person is alive, where they are, whether they are within India, whether they're outside India, whether it's a device that is being used, that is good or bad. So all those kind of checks can be done in a very automated way, and then you should be able to say that, okay, yes, I have a user who's real, who's present, who's alive, who's sane, who is not a fraudulent person, not a fake person, not a synthetic person, and now this person is my customer. So that element is one of the most important aspects. So I think a lot of us talk about eKYC, VKYC, especially in India, video KYC. But if you really look at it, if we bring the identity proofing and verification as a whole, which is offline, meaning without internet, so it can still work in the village, or it can, still work where the internet is not that good, then it's a great plus, because your agent can do it at the last mile and then do that. So I'll quickly show you, an experience which, would be a, kind of key value to all of us. is over here where I am going in, and I'm going to cut a few slides a bit faster. So this is my team member who has actually, made a video over here where the person is coming in, he is doing the liveliness, and this liveliness is where it is being done offline. It is not online, so it's done on the phone or on the web front. And then after that, the person is going into the second part, which is scanning your Aadhaar card or PAN card or passport based on the ID documents that are allowed. So you could see it over here. And then once the person has done that, they sign it. And then what I would like to show you over here is this part where all those checks were done very neatly and beautifully, and all the pieces of information in terms of who this person is, face to ID match, OCR, document is authentic or not, all those kind of checks were done, immediately over here. So this is done offline, and now you can push it online onto the server. So another very interesting way where you can bring in the customers in a very secure way and take it ahead. Now, once we have done that, now obviously we talk about, hey, we all are using SMS one-time passwords as a way of authentication. So is there a way where we can bring in a better security where you have push notification, or where you have geofencing, or where you have device profiling, whether it's malware free or VPN free, or it is not rogue, and then taken ahead. So what you're seeing right now on the screen is I'm coming in, I'm picking up my application, whether I'm doing corporate banking, retail banking, whichever way, or trading or any other commerce. And then I'm coming in and I'm doing the transaction. So you could see the transaction was low. Why? Because it had gone through multi-factor from your location, from your device, from signing, all those kind of things which were done over here. Now, in the second part, where we see the transactional part, which could be done at a commerce portal or within your internet or mobile banking, over there you have the choice where you're pushing it again as a push notification, and that could work globally. It is something does not cost you any money. It's free, and it comes onto your mobile banking or your independent token. You do biometrics, you're getting in, and now you are able to execute the transaction over here. So again, a beautiful, cost-effective, high velocity, high volume option, which is a multi-factor, which works on any and every device globally. That gives you the ability to do that. So again, it's something beyond, and that is what, if you look at the guideline, is able to help you out with. And another one is where you have third party. So if you're going to a commerce portal, if you're going to any QR code, so we are very habitual of using QR code, for scanning and making the payment. So now if I'm doing that, you can also build in the security over there. So in this example, what you see, we are scanning a QR code, and that QR code scan is instructing, your phone or your device to actually do the authentication. Pardon me for the video over here. I could not, get a better one, but you could see the example over here where you're doing the same experience where it's working in a seamless way, from your as a QR code that is being pushed over here. Now, another very interesting, experience I think all of us are having, thanks to, social media and WhatsApp and Telegram and Viber, where you have a video call that essentially is becoming a extremely good tool to address certain problems. Like, what are the problems? Firstly, one of the problems is customer due diligence. Can I do that? If there is a suspicious transaction, can I do a verification of that? If there is a premium support, I have to give it to a KYB or a, director of a company or a high net worth individual. Can I do that? So we cannot meet in person all the time, because of distances, because of, COVID, unforeseen circumstances, whichever they are. So, but over here, if you have the ability where you can actually use video calling to become part of your KYC. So in this example, I'll quickly show you, this is from one of our, products over here, where the operator is doing the video call for onboarding a director or a customer over here. So again, it goes through a process of, capturing all the data, then asking the user to show it and all, and then taken ahead. So over here, it's a little geeky video, but it shows you that what an operator would do with the customer to actually onboard them. Now, the other would could be that where you are doing customer onboarding. So if you're doing customer onboarding, so let's say if there's a high net worth individual, so I just quickly made a video, with me and Sana, where you have two people who are essentially talking as a relationship manager versus this person to take it ahead. And another use case which we have solved using video calling or video capture is what we call it as the use case of customer re-KYC or customer due diligence. So I'll quickly run through it. So over here, this is me. Over here, I am coming in. I have been asked to, sorry, I think I'll just show you from here. So I've been asked to do my re-KYC. Now, currently the process is that you have to go, to a paper form, or you have to go and visit a branch, or you will be given, pushed to a, web. But what we have done is that we have brought everything on the mobile, where through a video capturing, you're able to do the re-KYC of the customer, due diligence of the customer, from location to device to OCR of the ID, face ID match, liveliness, all those things which are being done. So the video gets recorded, pushed onto the server, and then you can further process it and then take it ahead. So another very interesting use case of how from the guidelines we can help do the re-KYC or dispute management in terms of using the new technology, which could be a video call, a very simple video call. Now, the next one is very, very interesting tech, which is what we call it as passwordless. So passwordless, what it does is that it's a standard which is called FIDO, which allows you to use, or application to use, let's say if you have internet banking, mobile banking, or your mobile app, to use the native biometrics. It is not a local authentication. It is the authentication of your domain. It is the authentication of your mobile app with a specific package. So if you have a rogue application which somebody is trying to mimic, or if you have a man-in-the-middle attack or a phishing attack, then you are able to protect yourself against that by using this particular tech. New account opening, SIM swap, all these kind of bad things that happen kind of go away. So very useful for an old person to use because they don't remember passwords. So they can actually just do a face ID or touch ID and then take it ahead. So why passwordless is picking up now is because it is a superior security. So over here, you could see that it's again a QR code scan experience where I'm coming in and I'm able to scan. And then after that, I see where I am, what device I'm using. Now, if somebody else was using a device, you'll be blocked. If you are on a wrong website, you'll be blocked. If somebody was trying to reuse it on their phone, they will be blocked because they don't have the biometrics of yours, right? So all these put together, this is one of the most beautiful techs that can be used for fraud prevention as well as front-end man-in-the-middle, attack protection, or any kind of man in the script in the middle, any kind of MITM attack, DNS poisoning, all these kind of things. So we had done it for one of the banks where this is just a very quick one where, you could see that the person is going in and then they do a very similar experience over here. And then after that, they are able to log in. So in this experience, you did not have any password. You can have a password and nothing stops us. But this proves that even if you have no password scenario, let's say for elderly people or new account opening people, you are still able to give a much higher and superior security for them to take it ahead. So over here, the person is scanning it and then going ahead. So because of being sensitive to time, I'm just going to go a little bit faster because we have many slides to cover. So what you see over here are some of the salient points that why you should consider passwordless or biometrics as an option of using it. Because firstly, it eliminates password fatigue. It eliminates OTP fatigue. How many OTPs you can send and process them. So it's a very beautiful way of handling things for new account opening and protection against account takeovers. It's a fantastic tech that can be used. Now I'll go into a different part. So guideline again talks about, if you have a tax department who is syncing up with you, if you have merchants who are syncing up with you, then how would you proceed ahead? So I think I'll go a little bit ahead in terms of this video. So over here, what I'm doing is that we are using single sign-on. That means that the person is coming and is going through the experience of single sign-on, where they are using the same credentials or same identity, which is through passwordless or multi-factor, to bring a single identity for multiple application access. It could be, so what is beautiful about this is that you are able to create corporate banking, retail banking, trading, any other internal or external applications, you're able to bring the users over there from your Active Directory or in database, and then you are able to kind of bring as a single identity for all the applications that you have. So what you saw over here was the person is redirected to a SAML or a OpenID server, which is what this is. Then you do the authentication. Now in this geeky video, you can see that it's sending you back the token, and then using the token, you're able to continue logging into the particular application. So thousands of websites support SAML. I think millions of websites support OpenID. So if you have a SAML and OpenID server with you, you are able to cater for your identity part of the user identity part in a much clean and sleek way, which is what guidelines also talks about, that gives them a good experience, gives them a smooth experience, which is strong, which is good. So this tech part of bringing single sign-on experience is beautiful. And one more thing I want to add over here is that you are able to bring the API security also. So if there are certain aspects where you want to bring certain resource security or API security, you can also bring that over here. So in this example, the person has signed in from his mobile, and now he's going and doing a very simple operation of addition of 2, 5 plus 55. It's an API which only gets accessed if you have a proper token. User don't have to worry about it. It's all happening in the background, but we are just showing you the tech that can actually help this thing happen. Now, I am jumping to another very interesting, tech, which I think is going to become very, very important and relevant, is what we call it as adaptive authentication. So now in adaptive authentication, the whole idea, as the word adaptive says, is that it's able to understand who you are, how you type, how you hold your phone, how, at what speed you're moving, which is your location. So it brings what you are and who you are. That means what device, what location, all those parameters. And more importantly, how my personal or my individual behavior is. And that is what an AI module understands. So in this example, what you see, which is a very simple example, is I am typing again and again my username password. So in third time or fourth time, the system will be able to understand how Sumit works. That means how he types, how he holds the phone, what are the telemetry of his device, or his surrounding, what is his behavior, and then based on that, it is able to tell you whether it's same person or whether it is a bad person or a rogue person who is trying to steal the credentials and replay them. So as I've spoken over here, you would see that once this training gets done, which is in 2-3 times, now this person will type again. And when the person is typing again, you will see that there's a score that will come back. Now that's the risk and the confidence score, which will tell you whether it's the same person or whether it's a different person. And this can work for multiple channels. It could work for your, corporate banking, retail banking, ATM cards. So over here, you see that 30% was the risk. That means it is still very high. But now when the person is doing it again, and it's not an anomaly or a difference, then you are able to go back and see that the risk has reduced. So over 10 or 20 transactions, it further comes down. So as you could see that confidence has gone to 72 and the risk has come to 28. So in roughly about 10 to 12 transactions, the risk almost comes down to almost zero because the system has learned itself. So there's an AI component that is working for this. And this reduces your OTP. This reduces the user to be asked again and again, the transaction part. So as you could see, it's 22 now. And as you could see, it's, as it goes, more and more in time, more and more transactions come in, the system is able to reduce itself. Now, FRM, which is, basically essentially looking at the fraud and risk aspect, is one of the key things which the guideline has also pushed through. Now, a very simple example would be that you have multiple channels. So as a RE, as a regulated entity, you would have card data, you would have UPI data, commerce data, you would have internet banking, mobile banking, you would have certain threat feeds which are coming from other sources. And then what you would do is that you would enforce certain policy. Let's say you don't want to bring traffic from Nigeria or Russia, wherever. So you want to block that immediately. So there will be certain policies that will be enforced. For new customers, you would say consider velocity as high, or geolocation pair, or the time zone part, or volume of transaction, and then merchant codes like which are kind of high risk. So ask them always. So all those policies would be coming over here, and then consolidation would be done on pulling the data from everywhere, and then there would be an AI engine which would complement in making the judgment whether it's the same user or a risky transaction or not. And based on that, there would be an alert that would be raised if it's a fraudulent case or if it's a a risky transaction. If it's a normal transaction, let's say in case of UPI where you're only spending 10 rupees, to a known merchant in a known place, in a known time, in a same behavior aspect, then the transaction would go through. Otherwise, it would have some kind of alert saying that, hey, this is a high risk transaction, so ask for multi-factor, passwordless or facial or OTP or push, whichever way you want it. Or if it's not suspicious, then let it go through. So this is a very, very important aspect, because you want, as the volume of digital payments and transactions will go higher, we cannot keep on asking users again and again for strong authentication. So we have to bring FRM into the play to reduce the fraud, which is the most important aspect, and also give a good experience to the customer. So again, this is something which you will see as part of it, and I think RBI is also pushing it a lot. And now the next aspect is documents. So we undermine the value of documents. If I'm doing KYC, if I'm opening a new bank account, if I'm taking a new loan, there is still a scanned copy of a document that comes to you, as an RE. And as per the guideline, you have to redact it, you have to mask it, certain pieces of information which is sensitive. So hiding of data or signing of documents, which is again through paper or in a paperless way, or filling the data because you're creating those forms, in a real case scenario. So these are a couple of examples where, you would see that, I have a check. So I'll quickly go through this. So I have a check where I want to, tell my system that, hey, checks are coming to me, loan applications are coming to me, Aadhaar cards are coming to me as a scan copy. I want you to mask the data. I want you to hide away the data. I want you to redact the data. So this particular, tech would be very, very helpful for you to get those documents through your, mobile banking, internet banking, and in the background, it will do the job of, protecting the data, redacting the data, hiding the data, and then storing it. So the advantage is that, you comply with the regulator. Second is that you are able to handle the data in a much better way, in an automated way. So this is something which you should consider, going forward. And the next thing is very, very important. So I'm just taking an example over here that if I have a quotation, or an invoice or a, salary slip or a, like a check which comes to me, I have no idea if this is real or it is being tampered with. So imagine that this particular part which is changed, if I run it through our AI engine, then it is able to tell that, oh, this particular aspect of the document has changed. So what it tells you that if you're getting all these digital documents to you, there is no way for you to identify if this document is real or fake. Now that becomes a big problem. So to solve that problem, you obviously have to look at a solution which will be able to do that. So I'm just giving an example that over here, so you would come again, not to take too much time, but just to show you that AI is powerful enough to help you with finding out where the document has changed. And now with that alert, because now it becomes an automated process, with that alert, you are able to go back and say that, okay, if the document has changed, we can ask the user, hey, this document is not good. Hey, merchant, this is not good. Hey, user, this is not good. Now you can engage in that conversation. Right now, this is totally going unaddressed, as a whole, but this is where fraudsters and fraudulent, I would say, interactions are happening over here. So this was some of the tech that I showed you that can, help in, multi-factor, that can help in account new opening, or that can help in man-in-the-middle protection, obviously going towards document protection and things like that. Now let's jump into the other part. So if you are building your own internet banking, mobile banking, and things like that, or you are partnering with a company who does that, then most of the companies and developers who focus on functionality, they take libraries from other sources, which could be, anywhere from Stack Overflow or GitHub or wherever. And the bad hackers are also very good. They give out free, libraries which have some malicious code. So what makes this slide very interesting is that whatever software you are consuming right now is having almost 80% of libraries which are third party. Now, obviously, we have to solve that problem. So I'll cover this slide and then we'll go back to that one. So if you have internal employees, who are coming in and logging in, working from home, then you should be looking at what we call it as, a strong authentication, either through VPN or through VDI or any other channel where you should bring multi-factor. So this is one of the things which also PCI DSS enforces, that you should have multi-factor given out to your employees or to your vendors. And this is also to do with the card protection. So something that we have to consider when we are following RBI guideline. RBI guideline refers to PCI DSS for cards, and under PCI DSS, you have to have strong authentication for your employees to come in when they're accessing those systems which touch anything to do with card. It could be a card management software, it could be a help desk, it could be anything like that. And storing of data should go through redacting or masking, whichever way it takes it ahead. So now coming back, one of the things you would is being asked upon by RBI is that you should look at the internet if there is any data breach that has been reported, if there is any malicious app which is like your app, with the same logo, with the same brand, which is being circulating in the internet or in the stores. So over there you have this, what we call it as discover and monitor service. So there are a couple of good companies who do this, but this is something which you can use as a service to help out and bring down those fraudulent or wrong or rogue apps or rogue websites. So phishing attack is a very simple attack where we can tell, hey, this is the IP, this is the domain, bring it down. And hackers are mostly using Microsoft, or subdomains, which you can very quickly create in a cloud instance, run a phishing attack, and after that bring it down. So certificate is free over there by Microsoft. I'm not talking bad about Microsoft. I'm just giving an example that it is very, very easy for anybody to create a subdomain under a public cloud in a free trial and then run a phishing attack and bring it down in less than half an hour. So if you want to do a good investment in terms of monitoring and discovery, there are certain tools who would real-time monitor all the asserts, all the dark web and clean web, and then take it ahead. The second aspect is continuous app monitoring or app scanning. Now, this is to do with continuous development and continuous integration, where if you are developing or if your partner is developing, if you're outsourcing or insourcing, whichever way, it has to look into all these aspects that which are the web apps, OAuth, for doing the checking, API scanning, mobile app scanning, static or dynamic, whichever way, and then looking at the external, internal websites from a pen test, point of view, OAuth, and then doing, both. That means black as well as a white box, hacking attempts to see if the application is good, and then take it ahead. So this is something which would be is needed, is demanded under RBI guideline also, to make sure that the systems that you're making or getting made are good and solid point. And one more thing I want to highlight over here is that if you are asking somebody else to make the solution for you or outsourcing, or if you're engaging with another partner, then you should look at source code escrow, where the source code of whatever app you're building, if it's not your own IP, ask them to put it under escrow, because that is something which is very, very important down the line if something happens to that company, not in a good way, but I hope nothing happens, but still, you should consider that. And then the next part is continuous code scanning. Now, when we talk about code scanning, most of the time you have private and public, GitHub, Bitbucket and things, which you can use for continuous development and continuous integration kind of setup. So if you're using malicious libraries, if there is a check which is not being done, so it is actually at code level where you're checking in the code, as a team, then it is able to quickly scan and then tell you if there is anything, or an alert that if there is something wrong that has been done. So this is an extremely good practice which developers can do, or your team can do to bring it out. So if you're asking somebody else to make it, ask them that, hey, I want to do it in this way. Now, in the next slide, I want to touch upon what guideline has come from RBI is that they talk about you should have scalable architecture. It should be, tiered. So one of the first things which, we would recommend is that don't go for monolithic application, which is one box. Go for a Dockerized or a container-based microservice-driven applications, which are able to give you a much better flexibility in terms of deployment, in terms of scalability, and is also in terms of tracking the vulnerability. So you obviously have amazing tools which can, look at, hardening of the Dockers or containers, or looking at the microservice engagement or any kind of, a rogue component which is coming over there. So if you're going for it, go for a micro service-based or container-based architecture, which will be much more, I would say, fruitful over time. So if you're getting it made, or if you're making it in-house, go for this, new tech. And then again, guideline from RBI says that you should have HA, you should demilitarize it, meaning that you should have different layers, web app and database. Then each layer should have, load balancing. Each layer should have, its own, set of rules, so that the application or the flow itself is much more smoother, which is much more controlled. You should use WAF. You should protect against, I would say, DDoS attacks, which is denial of service attacks. And all these can be done if you have a good, smooth architecture where you have, 3 or more tiers with individual microservices and, many things in the front. So again, this is just from, what we have kind of worked with a lot of banks to bring it out. And that's what we are also sharing with you. And definitely, whenever we are doing any project, I think it's very clearly mentioned that we should have 3 tiers. We should have a UAT setup, for versioning, if there's any new features being added, make it go through the pen test, make it go through the patches, and then after that, move it into the production, and obviously have a continuum, which is through, DR. So all these 3 sites should be well managed. They should be well staged, and there should be a very clear, I would say, a rollover, or a rollout in these 3 sites as a whole. And after every 6 months, there should be, a practice of doing the pen test again, looking at if the database or the data is getting backed up properly, switching over to DR, and then coming back, to production again. All these kind of things, so that the business process continuity is very well maintained. So RBI guideline hasn't specifically spoken about, especially in the digital payment, guideline, they haven't spoken about the business continuity, but this is something which I think you should practice and have. And lastly, I think I always suggest that blue, red, and purple. So blue is obviously the defense. Purple is the team which is getting very popular now. And that purple team should be able to come in and bring in the legal or the illegal aspects, in the pen test aspect. So when we talk about pen test, you should engage with a third party. You should bring all the, I would say, from a web to mobile to APIs in each of the layers. You should bring that particular, aspect, because this is what hackers will also try to do to attack, your infrastructure or your application. So make fake apps, see if your, monitoring service is working fine. You can pay somebody to actually make it for you, and then say, if your service is being found, ask, certain, purple teams, internal or external, to hack into your system or try to hack into your system, and then take it ahead, and then, continue with this one. So now, jumping into, what I think the RBI guideline is talking about. So these are the 6 major sections that are covered. They are very detailed. I'm not going to go, deeper into it. I think I've taken quite a bit of time. But the first one, which is essentially to do with the general governance, is where they are talking about, what kind of, firstly, it's the responsibility of the board, that has to bring this whole aspect. It's not, an engineer, it's the board or the board members who are responsible, or the senior management who's responsible for this. And in that, you would see that, staging, tiering, pen test, ASCO, all these kind of things become very, very relevant. I'm not going into the micro because it's quite a detailed document, and I think most of you should be aware of it. But the new tech which is out there in terms of microservices, in terms of, purple, pen testing, in terms of code scanning, in terms of app scanning, monitoring, discovery. All these are available. All these are present. So all you have to do is just go for these services, and they will actually enhance all your security posture in a much great way. The second one, obviously, being the application security from a payment, application point of view. So it talks about OAuth, it talks about NIST, ISO standard, which should be followed. And in a very similar way, you should, if you're outsourcing, there's a certain guideline, DOR by RBI, how you should outsource and what are the different aspects you should consider. And then obviously look at the pen test and coding and all these other aspects. Then authentication framework. So this is where RBI has talked about that you should move away from SMS. You should move away to something better. And then that's where they talk about, you should use geo, you should use device. They should say that they talk about dynamic to make it dynamic. So I think in today's world, dynamic can be also with a lot of friction, because every time you're asking. But instead of that, if you look at passwordless, if you look at adaptive, a combination of that. If you look at push notification, which is global, which is cost free, so these make a very good case for that. And QR code, dynamic QR code, which can help you for scanning a third party and then doing the payment. SSO as another way of doing it. So authentication framework, I think, has a lot of options, and I think a lot of good work has happened in last 3 to 5 years, where there's amazing tech that has come in, which can help you to fortify your multi-factor strong authentication and bring down the cost drastically and give a much better user experience. So I have a bank account in one of the banks, and they still have SMS OTP, and sometimes SMS OTP does not come onto my phone. So that becomes a bit of a like a little red spot that it's not working. So you want to give a great experience to the customers, and there are technologies out there which are much more superior in terms of security, and also gives you much better cost saving or user experience. Then there's a whole a section of fraud risk management, where, as we talked about, that is to do with velocity. And as I explained in the example, that RBI does not specially talk about using AI or machine learning, which can, which is an amazing use case for, FRM to be used for. But in this scenario, they talk about that you should have certain rules or certain attributes that should be used for evaluating if the transaction is good or bad, and then have a, case or alert. And then based on that, you should be able to, create some insights or fix those problems, and then take it ahead and resolve them or reconcile them. So it's again going into a direction where they are talking about, if you're going to have more digital payments, then you should be able to bring more frictionless way of doing it. And FRM is a great way of doing it, where customers feel safe, customers have trust in your system, and they are able to use it more, because that's the whole objective over here, that we should be able to become more digital, do more digital payments, and FRM plays definitely a big role with multi-factor and adaptive and all that coming in. Then I think reconciliation, this is something which I think needs a very serious focus, because whenever something goes wrong, people really get emotional, and it is very hard to talk or convince somebody with a black and white email or a chat, that, hey, we are here to help you out. So even though it has to be real time or within 24 hours, that's what RBI says, that we should be able to reconcile, resolve it. But the amazing tech part is that if you're bringing biometrics, if you're bringing passwordless or adaptive, you're automatically reducing the dispute. And if there's a dispute or there's an issue, then we should go for possibly a video call, or something like that, which can help the user, because they see someone and then they can, look at it and then resolve it. So either it could be a preventive way of doing it, or it could be a post way of doing it. Whichever way, I think the tech is out there to help the customers who are in distress, to get that beyond emotional kind of support through a rich, media, as a way of video call, or it could be a, where you have prevented it by using the tech like passwordless, adaptive and all these kind of things to mitigate the risk or mitigate those kind of, wrong things that can happen. But if it happens, then we should do that. And one very important thing which RBI has highlighted, which I love, and I've started using it, is that what is the right and obligation and responsibility And that is something which we have to inform the customers, and that is where you can use pre-recorded videos as a great way. So I got an email, it was very long, it had a lot of points over there, but I had to read them. But instead of that, if there was a short video, it would register to me much faster, easier. When I'm in the train or when I'm in the bus, it could be done in that way. So people like to watch videos more than read, and this could be a great way where you can use video or media as a way of communicating instead of in terms of educating customers and then taking it ahead. So I just have few more slides, then I think I'll jump into few questions. Then obviously, RBI talks about customer protection, awareness, and everything. So over there, again, push notification video, all these kind of things can be used very well. And a little bit about internet banking. So over there, obviously, I think all of us know that DDoS attacks can be prevented. We can have CAPTCHA, we can have adaptive authentication, we can have anti-bot, anti-robot kind of means of doing it, passwordless as a way of doing it. So it talks about that if I'm, and this is one of the things which I also showed earlier, that where we can use SAML or SSO or OpenID as a way to integrate with other third-party applications. It saves time, it saves integration time, it saves cost, and it also gives a user a much better experience. So what RBI said that you should keep the UI the same, but I think idea is not to keep the UI same. Idea is to bring the control to you, do the authentication, and just return the control back. Because hackers, what are they doing is they're making the same UI like our website, genuine websites, and trying to trick the customer. But when we are doing the transfer of the authentication, that means it is coming to our server, genuine server. We are doing the authentication and then returning it back. So chances of any kind of hacking or fraudulent attempt is also much more lesser or reduced. Then the last one, I think mobile payment applications, from which device to install, is it jailbroken, which Wi-Fi are you on, are you storing any data? So these are a very good list of things that you could do, and typically it would be addressed when you're making the app or building the app, and then kind of rolling it out. So if it is an SDK that is being given to the partner to embed inside, or is it an app that is being built by the third party? In whichever way, these are the questions that should be asked. These are the questions, or these are the, I would say, attributes that should be considered, in terms of like whether this mobile app, or the mobile payment app that is being made is as per what the standards is required. So there is no, I would say anything negative that can come back to us and saying, oh my God, we missed this point. So again, the guideline has done a very good job of this. The only thing I want to add over here is that if you can use passwordless in mobile payment, that gives you package protection, that gives you whitelisting of the server side. It also makes sure that there is no SIM swap or device sharing kind of scenario. So they haven't talked about biometrics being used in this particular section, but my personal recommendation is that if you use passwordless or FIDO biometrics over here, then it would do a wonderful job above this particular list, in terms of obfuscation device, data storing, and all these different kind of things which they are talking about. Yeah. So with that, I think I'll pass it back. Dushyant, I am not sure if I have tried to make it in time or kind of took too much time, but I just want to kind of roll it back to I think Srijal, if there are any questions, if there is anything that you would like to ask me from the team, for everybody who's here.
Hi Vikram, thank you. Amazing session, truly. So we do have a lot of questions in the chat box. So would you like to like me to read it out for you, or you will address them?
Okay, I think I can go ahead. Not a problem. I think Chandani Sharma has asked, what are the strong MFA requirements when the user can log in using mobile number and OTP? So I think, Chandani, as I mentioned to you, that biometrics or FIDO passwordless works with or without app. So if you have a smartphone or a smart device, it should work well. And then obviously in the background, you could have adaptive authentication, which is looking at your geolocation and many other aspects, how you type, how you read. So that could be a very good, combination of, kind of bringing that part. And any kind of external portal, internal portal, you could obviously have a SDK or a widget that can be added in using single sign-on to take it ahead. how are you guys? Sorry, so Pankaj had asked the question, how are you guys, how you guys will be different on client onboarding from Sinji or Zoop One? Okay, great. What I know of Sinji and Zoop One is that they are very much focused on customer onboarding, which is great. But what we focus on as Bluebricks is not just on that. We focus on all these different other aspects. As I put on the slide, so we talk about multi-factor, passwordless. We talk about getting video used for many other purposes. We talk about fraud risk engine. We talk about adaptive. We talk about document security. So there's Pankaj. Again, I have not done a micro comparison between these two companies. But what I know is that we are not stopping at onboarding. We are actually taking it as a continuous security for all the applications, all the devices, all the users, and trying to run it as a life. So like the baby is born and that old person dies. So the whole life. So if you're a customer who's coming and using the application, we will help you onboard and live the whole life. And till the end, we'll be with you in terms of security. So that's the key difference. What is the stand on RBI on? So I think Chandani has asked again, what is the stand of RBI in MFA requirements? Again, they are saying move beyond SMS, move into dynamic way of doing things. Chandani, I'll share with you the specific what they have said, but it's still very agnostic. You can still choose, but what they are very clearly mentioning is that move away from SMS and give more options to the users. And that is what I had tried to also highlight, that there are ample number of options for you to choose from. They could be frictionless or they could be in front absolute, for you to kind of choose from. But there are a lot of options that you can pick up. OTP SMS is one of the ways now. It is not the only way. You can use push, you can use web push, you can use QR code, you can use many other ways of initiating the OTP part, or sorry, the authentication part, and take it ahead. Somel has asked this, that what challenges factors need to take care for organizations from password-based to passwordless authentication? Somel, excellent question. So typically, from our experience, what is happening is that you are not letting go of the passwords for 2-3 simple reasons. Firstly, it's the familiarity. That means that the user is familiar with the experience. You want to keep that. Secondly, the first level authentication is still going back to a original source, which is Active Directory or your own database or things like that. So what is happening is that you are combining PIN and passwordless or biometrics as a one way of doing it. Now, if you want to make a full transition from password to passwordless, it's a very, very good thought or way of doing things. Advantages are that you straight away comply with a lot of international regulations like GDPR and Privacy Act in US as well as in Australia and others. And another key advantage is that you are able to use passwordless as a way when they are creating the account. So you do away with the passwords completely. So you don't have any, lifetime or password, complexity that can come with that. And that is the beautiful thing about, moving towards passwordless. If you can talk to me offline, I can share a little bit more about you. What cons? So I think Karishma has asked, what are the cons of passwordless authentication? You need to have a smart device. That's the only one, which in today's world should not be a scenario, but that's a con. And the second con is that if you have old fingers, meaning that if your fingers, this part has gone away, which is to do with passwordless, because it uses the biometric trait. So for some reason, if you have a anomaly because you're sick or for some reason you're not able to use the biometrics, then it becomes a bit of a this thing. However, it is not a con; it is a limitation. The con would be that if you have a twin brother sister, and brother, let's say if you're twins, then they would be able to use the Face ID. So to counter that, typically it is to do with multi-factor, which location and all these kind of things to help with that con. So con is twin, con is if you're not able to use biometrics. So these are the two cons, but they are much stronger because it protects from man in the middle, it protects from SIM swap, it protects from many other scenarios. in terms of, if you look at it. And password is guessable. Password is, it can be copied, it can be shared, OTP can be shared. So there's a big problem. I think Chandani has asked me, Chandani, I think I'll go with few other people. Dharav has asked, what all things are used in adaptive? Is it just typing, speed based, or camera, gyroscope, and okay. Dharav, a very valid question. In our product, we use roughly around 38 attributes. Others might use more or less, but what you have said is also some of them, which is your camera, gyro, your accelerator, the telemetry which you can achieve and get. And then obviously there's an engine which is running in the background that your phone, your device. So there are a lot of attributes coming from there. Your location and these kind of things. The second is the transactional value itself, meaning that who is the merchant that you are interacting with, what is their risk appetite or this level, what is the transaction you have done. And then the third aspect is what is your historical, history of transactions that you have done. Are you always buying the coffee from the same place? Are you always eating in the same location? Are you going and buying movie tickets from the same place? Because if you're doing the same transaction again, the risk will come down. So it is not just about, the you or your device, but it's to do with you, your device, with which merchant, which on what transaction and where. So it kind of encapsulates quite a bit of things. So we have 38 lists. Obviously others might have more or less. So I hope I've answered your question. Vijaya has asked, but will it be dangerous situation in adaptive authentication if person is ill? Then with few circumstances, sorry, I'm just reading it quickly before behavioral changes forces this thing. Vijaya, very, very valid point. So over there, what it gets handled or helped is that adaptive is a score with a confidence. So if in some scenario you're ill or you're not able to type or something like that, you will get a low score and you will move into the or you will be asked to do a multi-factor, which could be a push, which could be a OTP or something like that. So meaning that you can still, obviously being triggered to do a strong authentication. So if you're not able to type, if you're sick or whatever, then that will be the way you will do it. So we call it as absolute authentication. Absolute meaning that you're being asked a challenge and you're responding with that. Adaptive is more looking at your behavior. So that's the marriage between both, where adaptive and absolute works hand in hand with each other. So I hope I have tried to answer your question. Deva has asked, training set is not good, integrity is done by, so I think I'll take this with you later. I think Mahesh has asked, do we get recording? I think Shijal answer would be yes, I think. Umesh has asked, can we tokenize documents on distributed ledger with blockchain while we do document management? So with the security moves to the document, right? Okay, Umesh, the question you have asked is valid, but you have to look at two things. One is the endpoint. So the endpoint is a person is uploading a document. Now, whether that document which is being uploaded is good or bad, is a fraudulent document or a good document, is not in the control of blockchain. Once we have pushed the document into the system, then we can consume it. Now, so the answer to your question is, blockchain is great if the origin of the document has happened from your system. But in most of the cases, let's say if I'm applying for a loan or if I'm opening a new account, I don't have control over the origin of the document. So if the origin of document is not with you, then blockchain doesn't help much. But if the origin of document is controlled by you, blockchain is a beautiful way of doing it. So if that's the scenario, then 100% what you're saying is valid. If it's not the origin, then obviously that's where the problem comes in. So integrity analysis based on which factors? Based on organization, based on business. So Vijaya has asked this question, small, large case, personal domain. Vijaya, integrity check in our case, what I showed you was to do with the document. So let's say it's a salary slip, but somebody's changed, somebody's photoshopped, the numbers or the amount or the address, they have changed it. So we are able to go and use the AI to actually figure it out if there is any change that is being done to the document. So it's to do with metadata, it's to do with pixel and things like that. And that's how we are doing it. The second check is that if somebody is saying I am claiming, for a hotel receipt or for a bill, for buying an electronic, and then we know the company's name, then we can query to the internet, to Google and others, bring out the pieces of information that is it really a valid company? Is it really a valid entity in the same location which is being given, not a hypothetical or a fake one? Then we are able to address it. So again, objective over here, and we have done this with one of the big banks in India, is that whenever you are receiving the documents, you want to go through a process of checking the integrity if this document is good or it is being tampered. And that's a very good problem to solve. And that's what we are focusing on. Okay, I think Chetan Rajan has said, are there hacking threats to QR code tech itself? Chetan Rajan, the question is very valid. It's a bit in-depth question. I think we'll take it offline. Answer is that if you are using dynamic QR code, which are based on JWT tokens, you are in a much better position for you to handle that part. But if you have a static QR code, 100% it can be copied and hacked. Why? Because it's having static piece of information over there which is getting reused. But if you're using dynamic QR code with tokenization, then that is a much superior solution to address with. Again, the parameters or the boundaries would change. Is it being man in the middle or not? That could be one more question. So answer would change. It's a deeper discussion. I am more than happy to take it with you, and discuss it further. Okay. Golulavan, sorry guys, I am not sure if I am pronouncing the name right, so pardon me for that. I'm just trying to cover as many questions as I can. Is capturing and storing biometrics of an individual a crime? I heard that it should only be available with Aadhaar servers and we can take that as a service. You are 200% right that it is not allowed as per legal authorization or any entity or any law, not just in India, elsewhere also, that you cannot copy somebody's data and store it. Passwordless, which is what I talked about, does not take away your biometrics. There are two levels of check over here. First level biometric gets done over here, which is on the phone, and then the phone tells the app or the SDK that I have been authenticated. And then the second layer is when it is talking with the server side or the domain, it is over PKI. So as we all know about digital certificates, so there is a certificate which gets used between the server and the client, which actually further does the part of conveying that, yes, I am the right user who's doing that. So passwordless is not just about biometrics. It is biometrics plus PKI coming together to solve the problem. So the question that you have asked is, you are very valid and right. We are, or I hope no other system should be able to copy the biometrics data and use it elsewhere or replay it. Only with the user's consent in customer onboarding, you should be able to do that. But if you're doing for authentication, and if you're using passwordless, FIDO passwordless, it should not take any biometrics data and use it or store it unless you are the authorizer. So very valid point. Thanks for that question. Vijaya, thank you so much for your excellent information. Great session, thanks. Is there any penalty levied by RBI for non-compliance? It's a guideline. It's not a law. So there will be penalty if you don't, because you might be open for any kind of threat or data breach. So that would lead to certain penalty. But as such, I think the guideline is not a law. It is not a policy. So it's up to you whether you want to follow it or not. Your membership to certain environments like digital payment environment would be revoked, if you're not following this. So there could be other implications that could happen, as this thing. And thank you so much, guys. I think a lot of you are thanking me and I want to thank you for, for listening to me. I think I've almost done with the questions. Yeah. Jagjeet has asked, is there policy being rolled out to all the banking and the financial systems, or is it in the process? No, Jagjeet, it is being rolled out. So you can go to the websites of RBI and few other departments under them where they have conveyed what the RE should be doing. So this is already being asked to be implemented. Obviously, auditors would come and check eventually. I think they're just giving time gracefully for people to do it. So answer is yes, it is already made available. Okay, sure. Pankaj, I will be sharing the document later in this, or Shijal will do it. Umesh, thank you so much. Look forward to connect. I think, Shijal, I have done all my job. I think I've tried to answer all the questions I can. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we received a lot of questions for your session. So, and also the appreciation is in the chat box, as you can see. So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Wonderful
you.
session, I must say. Very, very,
Yeah.
very well covered. I hope you had a
Thank
good
you.
time here. And
Yeah. Thank you. No, no,
oh,
I think I loved it. They were very interesting questions, and I'll try to get back my email ID. I'm just should I, Dushyant, Srijal, just make our email ID available. So if they have any questions, they can ask me. Not a problem. Yeah. But thank you all. Thank you all. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah. Srijal,
okay.
anything else for me? Yeah.
No,
Or
we've covered most of the questions, I believe. So we can move ahead with the quiz that is coming up. But before that, I would just request the participants to fill the form that was put in the chat box. You will receive a participation certificate also once you fill it. So I'll just quickly put that again in the chat, and just allow us 2 minutes before we can proceed with the
Sure.
Kahoot. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, I think I should stop sharing my screen. Yeah.
Um, okay, so everyone present here, just quickly go to the www.kahoot.it on your browser, and you can just enter the game pin. You can also scan the QR code present on the screen, and we will just begin with the quiz once most of you join this. So the quiz basically runs, most of you might know, it is a fastest finger first kind of quiz. So you have to be very quick with your answers, and the questions will be based on the presentation on the session itself. So and also there will be 3 winners from this quiz, and the winners get Amazon Kindles. So yeah, I can see people joining in. Let's just quickly do that since we are running a little behind our schedule today. So okay, I'll just put the link in the chat box for the. There you go. Okay, so we will begin in the next 1 minute. Okay, last 30 seconds and then we'll start.
Somebody wants to know the answer, they can ping me. If I missed out, yeah.
Vikram, I hope you are not one of the players over
Oh,
here.
no. Sadly, I'm not. So that's damn it. I
Okay.
knew all the answers. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I see most of you have joined the bridge. Let's just start with the quiz. Okay, so here we go. Okay, the first question, which department is not playing a role in these RBI's guidelines? The options are on the screen. Let's just quickly put in the answers. There is a time limit on the screen, 18 more seconds. Okay, 10 seconds left. Okay, the scoreboard as of now looks like this. Guys, just a quick note, please put in your full names from the next time when you enter the quiz so that it becomes easy for us to understand. Okay, the second question is, where is the maximum threat or risk of data breach or theft? On-premise server, cloud instance, on-premise server with default ports and passwords, hardened cloud instance. Okay, the first position is still with the same person, I believe. The third question is, which one is not a real scanning technique? Oh, lose one, I think. And there is a complete switch in the scoreboard. Manmeet Singh is at the top. The fourth question is, which company type is not added in this guideline? The regional rural banks, small finance banks, credit card issuing NBFCs, payment banks. Last 3 seconds. Okay. So at the top, okay, the Manmeet Singh is still at the top. Okay. Fifth question is, which options should not be done by fraud risk management? Okay, again, a close one between two options. On streak, Manmeet Singh is on a streak of being at the first position on the scoreboard. Okay, which one is the most important first step for building good security persona of end user or customer? Okay. Oh, so Mr. Nitesh has come at the first place now. Okay, and the last question is, which form of transaction is not covered in these guidelines? ATM transaction, web or mobile transaction, cash transaction, digital wallet, or UPI transactions. Okay, this is the last question, the decider one. After this, we will be done with the quiz, and I hope you are excited to see the winners. And last 5 seconds. Okay. And let's see the winners. Okay, congratulations, Karishma, Mr. Manmeet Singh. And at the first place, we have Mr. Nitesh. Congratulations to all the winners. Karishma is on a winning streak since last, I think, 2 webinars. So good one, Karishma. So the team will get in touch with you to get the address details from you, and you will be receiving your Amazon Kindles shortly. With that, we are just left with one more thing, a Wheel of Fortune based on the feedback form. So we will just quickly get done with that. And yeah, I would just request my team to display the names on the screen. Okay, so this one's for the people who have let us know their valuable feedback, and they must have already received their participation certificates as well. So yes, let's just spin the wheel, shall we? Okay, let's see. Okay, congratulations, Mr. Amit Trivedi. Thank you for letting us know your feedback. Appreciate it. And with that, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, participants, for the constant support that we are getting from you every Wednesday. We will always keep bringing such knowledgeable sessions with solution experts like Bluebricks today. So with that, congratulations, winners, once again. The team will get in touch with you. And yes, have a great day ahead. Thank you, Vikram, for being here. Loved it.
Thank you all. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.